And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Cohen here with you as we take another trip down the road of Jets drama here in 2024. Hope everyone's had a good Thanksgiving as we now make our way towards the Christmas holiday season, of course. And if you are a fan of either New York City based team, whether it be the Giants or the Jets, well, the only thing that you could be thankful for is the fact that this season is almost over. And that maybe sometime this week, maybe we can get distracted with another story. Perhaps Juan Soto makes a decision one way or the other, whether it's between the Mets or the Yankees or somebody else. And we could talk about that instead of the Jets and the Giants and all the misery that is revolving around those two football teams. So it's been a while, obviously, since I last did a video, and we got a lot to talk about, obviously, and a lot of people have been talking about it. Of course, the Jets drama just takes another turn on Sunday, a 26-21 loss to the Seattle Seahawks that really just kind of put the exclamation point on what has gone on with the Jets over the last 2 weeks since their last game on November 17th against Indianapolis. As we all know, of course, Joe Douglas gets fired a couple days later, and then all hell breaks loose. The story that came out by The Athletic, the story written by Zack Rosenblatt and Diana Rossini, really kind of painted the picture of what's going on with the New York Jets and really the lengths in which Woody Johnson might be interfering or had interfered with football operations while Joe Douglas was the general manager, whether it be claims that he was instrumental in preventing Douglas from signing Bryce Huff to a long-term extension, or perhaps getting in the way of the Hassan Reddick deal. And even though Douglas was very much well aware that there was a chance that Reddick could hold out anyway, and of course, the possibility that Woody Johnson went out there and made the suggestion back in week 4 that the Jets should bench Aaron Rodgers. And the questions that have come up in that article at that time, whether that there was a rift between the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, and that might be Rodgers, who a couple weeks ago, remember, put out that issue that said that he would think he was considering playing in next year, maybe, as the Athletic alluded to, that he would want to play in 2025, just not for the Jets, as we all know. Rodgers then came out just on the 26th, just last Tuesday, and tried to deny that report and deny that he has any interest in playing elsewhere other than New York, and that if he should choose to play in 2025, New York would be number one on his list. I did speak to Zack Rosenblatt. As most of you know, I work for Fox Sports Radio New Jersey down in Somerset. We did have him on a couple weeks ago. We spoke to him on the 22nd, and we had him on that Saturday morning to talk about that article. And I have the link to the actual interview, the radio interview. I'm going to put it in here. I'm also going to play a couple of clips in here. I really wanted to get it up here, and some of these things wanted to kind of got in the way. I'm putting it up here on the channel. I'm going to play a couple of clips here just from that interview right now, and then when we come back, we're going to discuss more of the game, the fallout, and what it means moving forward. So just take a quick listen in with this. With regards to this whole dynamic with Rodgers and the benching of Aaron Rodgers in week 4, and you mentioned in great detail about how the coaches were stunned. They eventually talked Woody Johnson off the ledge, if you will,
Yeah.
of not doing that. And I think back to a week later when Saleh got fired and Rodgers went on the Pat McAfee show and said that and basically he and Woody had a pretty good relationship, that Woody called him, just about his health after getting hit. And I think he had an ankle injury in that game against Minnesota. What do you make of this kind of dynamic between Rodgers and Woody Johnson, and how this relationship has kind of changed over the last several months?
I think from the beginning, I think that Aaron had a better relationship with Christopher Johnson, Woody's brother.
Hmm.
From the day they flew out to meet him, Christopher was there before everybody else. And so I think Aaron, I think they had a good working relationship generally, but I think Woody is somebody that um I've been saying this all week. Like, he's somebody that's more results than process. And so when things aren't happening, his reaction, that's kind of where the benching was rooted. And Aaron just had this bad game. The offense scored 9 points. The defense only gave up 10 points and they lost. And so he's like, are we better off benching Aaron Rodgers based on that game? And that's why, some people were like, okay, then why did he turn around and trade for his friend a few weeks later? Well, a few weeks later, the Jets were back to feeling like they had hope, and Devontae Adams comes available. He's this all pro guy. He becomes available. Everybody on social media is hoping that the Jets trade for him. And so Woody likes to make a splash like that. And so he pushed to trade for him. So, ultimately, Aaron and him, I think there is a lot of discontent, especially since Saleh was fired. I think it was an unfair perception that Aaron got him fired because I do not think he liked that, especially because Hackett wound up getting demoted anyway. And so you combine all that stuff and you have somebody who maybe is not as sure about his owner and his decision-making ability.
How do you see this playing out with him?
Yeah, as we sit here right now, I don't see him being the Jets quarterback next year. I think it'll be a mutual parting at this point. There was always a chance the Jets would bring Aaron back, but I think on his end, he wanted continuity or at least a coach that he knew he could work with in the way that like he could be the one to run the offense, which is what he ultimately wants. He wants his offense. And he liked Robert Saleh, he liked Nathaniel Hackett, he likes Jeff Ulbrich, but none of those three are going to be here next year.
Mm.
And he liked Joe Douglas. They had a good working relationship. And so, when you remove that continuity, I don't think Aaron is going to be very interested in coming back. And on the flip side of that, I think it's pretty clear to me that Woody is not going to want him back. He's hasn't played up to what he was promised, like what Woody felt like he was promised. What Aaron hasn't looked like Aaron, and he's getting older, and there's financial considerations and all that stuff. So I think, you know, Woody ultimately is the final decision maker, and I don't think he's going to want Aaron back as his quarterback.
Couple of quick clips we had here. My interview with Zack Rosenblatt of the Athletic. Again, the article went into great detail of some of the drama that's been going on with the Jets, and that's really kind of gotten this ball rolling on a lot of the things that have been going on ever since that Joe Douglas firing. And really, ever since that firing, all we have heard about is rumors, speculation, what's going to be, what it's going to be with Aaron Rodgers. And one thing is for certain, before we get into the rumors about who the head coach is going to be and who's the GM, how that's going to come out, and of course Mike Tannenbaum's involvement, Sunday's game, in my mind, pretty much cemented that Aaron Rodgers' future with the Jets cannot continue. These two sides, whether they want to admit it or not, or whether they want to admit it, certainly want to deny it in public or not, are not going to be together next year. It just doesn't behoove either side. Whether Aaron Rodgers wants to play in 2025 or not, he is better off without the Jets, and the Jets are better off without him. Here are the Jets in a situation where they're up 21-7. And this is an ugly football game against Seattle. The Seattle Seahawks are having a hard time on special teams. They've had a couple of bad fumbles. Given the Jets' great field position that they take advantage of, there's even a kick return by the Jets for a touchdown in this game. Everything is going the Jets' way. And then there's another fumble here by Seattle. The Jets have the football back, and Aaron Rodgers is in great position to lead the Jets for a touchdown drive, heck, even a field goal. You go up 24-7 or 28-7. Turn out the lights in the first half. The Jets look like they could be on their way to winning a game after a bye week and after all the craziness, and we could be talking about something else. But no. Throws the pick six to, ironically, in a week where we've heard a lot about ex-Jets, ironically throwing the pick to Leonard Williams, the former first-round pick of the Jets by about, 9-10 years ago, and he rumbles down the sideline for a touchdown, cuts it to 21-13, and it was all Seattle after that. Really, the Jets barely had the football in the second half of the football game. Aaron Rodgers didn't do a whole heck of a lot. And a lot of the same issues we saw all year with this team, both sides of the ball, lack of discipline, lack of focus, bad penalties on both sides of the ball. Aaron Rodgers miscommunicating with his receivers, sometimes showing guys up by looking back at the sideline and yelling at the sideline, like when he did when there was a miscommunication between Xavier Gibson and Garrett Wilson on a pass. It was just ugly to watch. Both teams stunk in this game. Seattle, you ask me right now, I would probably take either the Rams or the Cardinals to win the West Division. Seattle does not look good in the NFC West, especially after the way they play today. But this was a butt-ugly football game between two very inconsistent football teams. And, of course, the Jets find a way to lose because they can't help themselves. They're so bad, they're so inept in everything they do in their execution that they find a way to lose the game. So it is it's ironic that after all this turmoil, and of course the article by The Athletic, and then Rodgers coming out and denying that there's any rift, and then the rumors, the speculation, of course, as I mentioned, as we all know, about Woody Johnson wanting to bench Aaron Rodgers after week 4, and what is Rodgers' future with the team. Now Rodgers was asked, well, is is there a chance that you could end up talking with Jeff Ulbrich about getting benched?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll figure it out when we have those conversations. But
It's been that kind of year, folks. It's been that kind of year of just complete and utter zaniness with this football team from pillar to post, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to stop until Woody Johnson literally starts putting new people in place. And look, now it's also being reported that, even by Ian Rappaport, that the Jets and Aaron Rodgers are heading for likely divorce. After 2 seasons with the Jets, the future Hall of Fame quarterback is currently considered a long shot to return in 2025, according to Ian Rappaport on NFL Game Day Morning. Rodgers' exit after the campaign would complete a total exodus of the triumvirate that led Gangrene into this season, of course, with Saleh and Joe Douglas. Now, this is going to be a hefty divorce, because Rodgers is due $35 million in option bonus if New York decides to bring him back, and if they part ways, it could be a $49 million cap hit, one way or the other, depending on when they want to release him, whether it be pre-June 1st or post-June 1st. So either way, the Jets are going to have to pay a pretty penny to let Aaron Rodgers go, if these two sides do decide to do that. Then you have this Team 33, Mike Tannenbaum, Rick Spielman. Woody Johnson brings those guys in. Of course, Tannenbaum, the long-term GM of the Jets from 2006 to 2012. Of course, was with the Jets even before that, going back to 97 with Parcells when he was here. And it's ironic in a lot of ways that he is now back in the fold, and he is going to have a say in, who the Jets GM could be. He's not going to appoint himself, folks. And he's going to have a say in who the Jets, maybe even the head coach, could be. So it's almost as if the Jets are going back to the future in a lot of ways to try to fix what has been a total and utter train wreck. To be fair to the Jets and be fair to Woody Johnson, I think, firing Joe Douglas now, as he did, a little over a week ago, probably the right move, but considering gives the Jets a head start to find their next general manager, their next head coach, gives Joe Douglas an opportunity to figure out his situation. Rumors that he could end up going to Baltimore, as we discussed. And now the question is going to be, with Mike Tannenbaum searching for the new GM, who's that going to be? One name that got thrown out there is Dawn Aponte, who is the chief administrator of football operations for the National Football League. She had a position with the Jets in the front office for a very long time, from the early 90s to 2004 or 5, I believe. And she had worked with Tannenbaum. She had worked, obviously, with Parcells and even Belichick when they were here. So she certainly is someone who could be a very interesting candidate as a general manager. And why not give her an opportunity? If she can put together the right staff and the right people, she would be a very intriguing candidate. That's one name that's going out there. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs and their assistant GM, his name has been thrown out there as well as potential suitor for the Jets GM job. Then there's the head coaching rumors, and the guy keeps throwing himself out there, wanting the job. I don't know if the Jets would give him the job, but there's the rumor that he wants it. Of course, that's Rex Ryan, who keeps harping and complaining and begging to come back and take the job. If the Jets are smart, they don't do this. Been there, done that. First 2 years with Rex were good, a lot of fun, especially the second year getting to the AFC Championship game, back-to-back years. After that, it was a total free fall and a train wreck that we've been in with this franchise ever since. So why would the Jets want to go back to that? So would it shock me? No, because it's the Jets and Woody Johnson, but that's the name that's gotten thrown out there. Eric Mangini's name got thrown out there, and of course Mangini went on Colin Cowherd and said he had no interest in it. And then you have the other names like John Gruden and Brian Flores, Mike Vrabel, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, all those names getting tossed about. And we'll see who comes out of this. I'm going to, like I mentioned before, I'm going to do a separate video at some point just kind of detailing all the different names that are getting bantered about here for the Jets head coaching job and, who would be a good fit. But this is where we are now, folks. It's about the next step. Yeah, this game on Sunday, all it did is just confirm what we already knew. This season, forget the season, this situation between Rodgers and the Jets, it can't end anytime soon. And I can't believe I'm saying that, because if you told me I would be saying that, or any of us would be saying that back in August, that come December we'll be saying, thank God this is almost over, we wouldn't believe it at all. But that's how far south this season has gone, and how far south this relationship and this between Rodgers and the Jets has gone over that time period. So we will find out how this thing is going to break down. If you ask me right now, who would I prefer? I think the Jets need a kick-ass coach in there. Love to see Mike Vrabel get the job here. That would be number one pick. I know a lot of people are in on John Gruden. I don't know if the NFL is going to allow the Jets to do that, considering Gruden's own controversies and lawsuits with regards to the league. But, Vrabel would be my number one choice. A lot of people like Brian Flores because they think he might be a take-no-prisoners kind of attitude as well, but he had a very mediocre stay in Miami. I'm not too sure about him, but a very good defensive coordinator in Minnesota. Aaron Glenn would probably be my second choice because of his time here with the Jets, familiarity with the market, the owner. Wouldn't be a bad pick in my mind. Maybe if you get him a senior assistant that he's comfortable with, like let's say Herman Edwards to help out Aaron Glenn. Maybe that's a good choice. We'll see, but the Jets need a real presence in this front office. They need a real presence at head coach, and they need to discontinue what has been a circus over the last several months. And really, think about it, really going back to last season, starting with the injury to Aaron Rodgers in week 1 of last year. So that's where they stand. And, of course, they're going to have competition for some of these names because you got the Bears. They're looking for a coach now after they fired Matt Eberflus. Of course, the Saints are looking for a new head coach, as we all know. The Raiders, a lot of people think they could jump into the market. And, oh, yeah, by the way, the Giants and Jaguars are going to possibly end up in the market as well. The Giants, what's it going to be with Joe Shane and Brian Daboll? It is as bad as it can get. Think about this. The Giants could have had Saquon Barkley on a long-term deal. The guy right now is the MVP, is right now a candidate for MVP of the league. Maybe even the favorite to be MVP of the league with the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Giants decided to not pay him what he was looking for. They gave that money to Daniel Jones. It didn't work out. Jones quits the team basically just before Thanksgiving, and that's it. So someone's going to have to pay for that with the Giants, and it could be Shane and Daboll. We'll find out. I mean, I know the Giants don't want to keep recycling coaches and GMs every 2 to 3 years, but that could be a situation that could be coming to play very, very soon. So, folks, leave your thoughts below. How do you feel about the situation here with the Jets? We'll talk to you next time.